The lioness came out of the heat haze like a mirage, head low, shoulders swaying, every step labored. Ranger Samuel froze mid-sentence. The air around the post went still. Flies hovered over the dust. Rifles clattered into ready hands. She wasn't running, wasn't hunting. She was coming straight for them. "Hold your fire," Samuel whispered. The big cat limped closer, sunlight glinting off her ribs. Her eyes, amber and raw, locked on his. Then she stopped, just a few meters from the fence, and let out a sound he'd never heard before. Not a roar. Not a threat. Something softer. Strained pleading. Samuel's pulse thundered. She's hurt. But as the lioness turned her head toward the open plain, he saw it. The reason she'd come. A shape in the grass. A cup. And the wire that gleamed cruelly around its leg. The savanna shimmered under the heat, the air thick enough to taste. Samuel lowered his binoculars, heart pounding. "Snare trap," he said. "Someone's been poaching near the river line again." The lioness stood motionless, tail flicking dust. The cub's faint cries carried on the wind, thin, desperate. Rifles stayed trained on her, but Samuel stepped forward. "I'm going," he said. "Are you out of your mind?" One ranger hissed. "She'll tear you apart." "Not if I move slow," Samuel replied, his eyes never leaving hers. "She came here. She's asking for help." He holstered his rifle, grabbed the med pack and wire cutters, and climbed through the fence. The world seemed to narrow to a tunnel of heat and heartbeats. The lioness backed up a few paces but didn't flee. Her muscles quivered, as if fighting every nerve screaming at her to pounce, but she stayed put. That was enough. Samuel moved through the tall grass, boots sinking into red earth. The heat shimmered around him, heavy and unrelenting. Sweat trickled down his spine, stinging the small cut on his hand. With every step his heartbeat hammered in his chest. The lioness shadowed him at a distance, pacing, panting, her growl a low, steady rumble that vibrated through the ground like thunder waiting for a storm. He spotted the cub. It lay half-hidden beside a thorn bush, one paw twisted beneath its body, the wire snare biting deep into swollen flesh. The trap steel caught the light, cruel and glinting. Flies circled. "Easy now," Samuel murmured, his voice barely louder than breath. "We'll fix this." The cub flinched when he knelt beside it, bearing tiny fangs, more fear than threat. Behind him, the lioness growled again, deeper, closer. The sound rolled through his chest like a warning drum. Samuel raised his hands slowly, palms out. "It's okay," he said. "I know. I'm not here to hurt you." He pulled on gloves, every movement deliberate. The metal of the wire cutters burned hot from the sun. He followed the snare to where it looped around a root, twisting cruelly into itself. The design was familiar, the kind poachers used for antelope, not lions. He began to work. Each click of the cutters cracked through the silence like gunfire. The lioness stepped closer, 10 meters, maybe less. Her eyes never left his hands. "Hold on, girl," Samuel whispered. "Almost there." The cub whimpered and jerked away. His fingers slipped, slicing his palm on the wire. He hissed but didn't stop. "Come on. Just one more." The wire snapped free with a metallic sting. The cub jerked away again, then sagged into the dirt, panting. Samuel tore a strip from his shirt and wrapped the leg, careful not to pull too tight. "That's it," he murmured. "You're all right now." He stepped back, slow and steady. The lioness moved in, silent, muscles rippling beneath her hide. She sniffed the wound, nudged the cub, and gave a low, trembling rumble that sounded almost like relief. Samuel held his ground. Their eyes met, wild and human, for a breath that seemed to last forever. Then, to his disbelief, she nudged the cub forward, closer to him as if to show it could stand. It did, weak but alive. And that was enough. Without a sound, she turned and guided the cub toward the golden hills. The rangers didn't speak for a long time after Samuel returned. The silence was thicker than the heat. He sat on the step outside the post, staring at the blood-stained rag in his hand. "She could have killed me," he murmured. "But she didn't," one of them said quietly. That night, the savanna was restless. Jackals crying, wind shifting through the grass. Samuel couldn't sleep. Every sound seemed to echo the memory of that soft roar, the one that wasn't rage but request. At dawn, he found himself walking back to the clearing. The snare wire still lay there, coiled like a venomous thing. Beside it, paw prints, small and large, led away together. He crouched, tracing them with his fingers. The cub's prints were uneven but steady. A sound drifted through the air, faint, deep, and distant. A roar. He lifted his head. Across the plain, two silhouettes moved along the ridge, the lioness and her cub. The cub stumbled once, and the lioness nudged it forward. Samuel smiled despite himself. "You made it," he whispered. Behind him, the wind picked up, scattering dust over his boots. When he returned to the post, he logged the incident. 1 adult lioness, 1 cub. Snare removed. No aggression shown. Then he added one more line. Something not in the manual. Mutual trust observed. 4 days afterward, the rangers reported sightings. The pair resting near the old termite mounds, hunting again. Each night, the men gathered by the fire and retold the story, never quite the same way twice. And each version ended the same. No rifles were fired. No blood spilled. Only understanding. A month later, Samuel patrolled near the western ridge. The sun was setting, the light red as fire, the air thick with the smell of dust and acacia bloom. As he drove past the same patch of grass, movement caught his eye. The lioness stood there again, watching. He stopped the jeep, engine idling low. She didn't move closer this time. The cub, taller now, stronger, sat beside her, tail flicking lazily. For a long minute, they stared at each other through the heat shimmer. No fear, no tension, only recognition. Samuel raised a hand slowly, palm open. The lioness tilted her head, a faint glint of light catching in her eyes. Then she turned, gave a low rumble, and walked back into the wild, the cub bounding after her. He sat there until the sun dropped behind the ridge. He knelt, brushing his fingers across the tracks, smiling. The savanna was quiet, the heat rising in waves, the sky endless. A low roar echoed from somewhere far away, not desperate this time but alive, certain, and whole. Samuel rose, tipping his hat toward the horizon.